Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in with Doppio. Today we are going to explore an interface which is built on the Infor Mongoose platform. This interface caters the customer complaint processing outside Infor M3. The interface is based on on-premise Infor M3 and Mongoose systems, which additionally pulls the required data from third-party ADC systems, which is a complete manufacturing solution which customers use for its production orders. So let's start with exploring the fine details and functionalities of the Mongoose interface that make a user's life easier when it comes to managing customer complaints. This is the complaint management system, and this is the first screen that the end user who manages the customer complaint sees. The end user can create a new complaint from this screen or view the customer complaints which have previously been created. The first screen here is divided to have three separate subscreens with a mashup-like structure. The left-hand side component on the screen illustrates the number of customer complaints that already exist. The user can view important details including customer number, customer complaint number, status of the customer complaint, etc. On the right-hand side, the topmost component shows the accounting details of a given customer complaint, while the bottom component shows the production order details of the finished product which have been sold to the customer. A complaint can be connected to a particular customer invoice and multiple sales order lines which are invoiced. There is a separate screen which allows users to attach a particular customer invoice number, which we will understand later during the session. In the same way, a complaint number can be attached or associated with the production order number and the lot items which are allocated to the sales order lines. The attached production order number details are visible under this area, where the user can see many other details related to the production order number as a sub-file within the main screen. Now, let's go ahead and try creating a new complaint. This is the customer prompt field. If pressed, the search button here will open another small screen from where we can select the customer from M3, CRS 610, against which the customer complaint is required to be created. If the user selects a particular customer number and tabs out from this field, there are two things that occur. The data in the sub-file beneath is filtered automatically as soon as the customer edit field is exited. In the same way, data can be filtered further based on a status value in the status edit. In the background, the status field is by default set to A while creating a new complaint. Now, let's hit the Create New Complaint button and see what happens next. We see that we are directed to a new screen, which has the ability to record n number of fields, which provides a perspective to the complaint number being created. Here, the new complaint number is automatically generated and populated, which follows a number series maintained in the Mongoose for the complaint registry. A user can manually put the customer complaint number, which he or she has received from the customer when the customer has raised the complaint. This way, the customer complaint number in Mongoose can be attached with the customer complaint number reported to the customer to establish a one-to-one relationship between the two separate systems. The problem code is the most important field. It describes the problem statement for which the customer has raised the complaint. The browse function helps the user to browse and select the required problem code from the Mongoose system. A separate search screen is populated from which the user can filter the data and select the required problem code. The salesperson field here is auto-populated from the customer master from M3, CRS 610-OCUSMA. The user must at least enter an item number manually in this item edit to search for the customer invoices from the M3 system, and then the user can hit the Find Invoice button, which is enabled only when the system finds a value in the item edit. A separate window will pop up which will bring all the customer invoices, which has this item as an invoiced item. The user must at least enter an item number manually in this item edit to search for the customer invoices from the M3 system, and then the user can hit the Find Invoice button, which is enabled only when the system finds a value in the item edit. A separate window will pop up, which will bring all the customer invoices, which has this item as an invoiced item. If the user has the customer invoice number from M3, or the customer's PO number, or the customer's order number in M3 as handy information, the search function works more efficiently. Ideally, the user will have all of this information when they receive the complaint from the customer. When the new screen is made available for user interaction, the user can select the number of lines, which are nothing but the invoiced items for which customers have reported the defects. The selection made over this screen will be stored into the separate database in Mongoose against the given customer complaint number being created in Mongoose. If the user accidentally selects the wrong record, they can reopen the Find Invoice screen anytime and can deselect the record and update the collection in Mongoose. The details selected in this Find Invoice search screen will flow into the complaint accounting section of the main screen, which we went through earlier. In the exact way, users can attach the production order details from a third-party ADC system where they will be able to see all the details related to the item available under the item edit. Users can filter the data more efficiently using additional information, for example, run number or production order number, and can select the appropriate production order lot numbers from the pop-up screen. The details selected in this Find MOs search screen will flow into the complaint manufacturing details section of the main screen, which we went through earlier. There are many fields which the user can enter manually to provide any additional information to the complaint number that is being raised. If a user selects the search button beside the address number edit, all the addresses from OIS 000, which are the customer addresses, will be popped up into a separate screen from where the user can make the selection. Once a user selects a particular address, corresponding address lines, city and state codes, country code, and postal codes will be populated automatically from OIS 002, which is OCUSAD. Now let's go ahead and store this information into the complaint header table by hitting Next. The new panel will be populated from where the user can provide more information to the complaint number. These fields are optional, and the user may or may not populate these fields while creating a customer complaint. So, for now, let's not populate these optional fields, and let's move to the next screen by hitting Next. However, once you hit Next, the data available in the screen will be stored in the header table. The next screen, Complaint Disposition screen, which is more complex in its nature. This particular screen is divided into two components. One is the topmost component where the user can add more details directly to the header table by providing additional information in the yes, why, or no, and formats. These details can be later used by other reporting tools to generate the internal or external reports. The second component, which is available at the bottom, is a matrix or a grid records several lines as complaint disposition details. The user can enter as many lines based on the requirement and can store the details of disposition into the separate disposition database file in Mongoose against the customer complaint number being created. A user can see the various drop-down options in this grid, which brings the data from M3 master database files and also from a certain external system. There are also some calculations which are logically implemented for the last amount column based on the parameters that users select into the various drop-down menu. As explained earlier, a user can add multiple grid lines by right-clicking the grid and selecting a new option. This will bring a new line for the user to enter the required data. Now let's hit the next button and store the changes in complaint header and the disposition database files. This will pop up a new screen where a user can enter the text 5,000 characters to add any more information against the customer complaint being raised. This is the last panel in the complaint interface. Here, the user can either select the next or exit buttons to come back to the original screen. And this would be the first screen that initiated the process of recording a customer complaint. If a user wants to add any new parameters or make corrections to already recorded fields, they can do so by opening the customer complaint in an edit mode. This can be done by right-clicking the complaint and going through the same process as illustrated in this session. The previous button on each panel will help the user navigate to the previous screens one by one. Once the complaint is recorded, the details are available to the main screen. A user can enter the customer number to filter the data, and if they select a particular complaint number by clicking on a line, corresponding accounting and manufacturing details will flow into the right-hand side components. When the complaint number is processed gradually, the user can set the status of the given complaint by going into the disposition screen and easily updating the status. And they can close the complaint when all the processes related to the complaint are fulfilled. To recap, this video showed a use case of Mongoose customer complaint interface, which is quick and easy to implement. If this data needs to be read by external systems, then those systems can, at any time, call the Mongoose-based REST APIs and get the required data.